Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Two Peas Podcast. This is Amelia, and I'm Carly. And today we are going to be talking about not giving unsolicited advice. So, when people are telling you something, when to know whether you should chime in or whether you should just kind of like let them talk it out and vent it out. And this is a topic that Amelia brought forward, and I'm so glad she did because this is something that we have all had to navigate. And if you tell me otherwise, you're lying. So we're kind of just gonna talk about some things that we have found have been beneficial in these instances. I don't know about you, Meals, but I have found just through the program that we're in that it has been really important to kind of navigate this topic and see how we can navigate doing it better than maybe we've done it before.
Yes, absolutely. I think one of the first things that our professors would tell us is we don't give advice as therapists. And a lot of people have this perception that therapists are there to sit there and give you advice and fix your life, but really it's not about that at all. So in like a professional capacity, when you're sitting with a therapist, they're not telling you what to do and they're not telling you how to live your life. They're basically giving you tools that you can choose to use or you can choose not to use to improve the well-being of your life. So giving advice is not something that we're supposed to do. I remember in one of my classes, I accidentally said, give advice. And my teacher so quickly was like, we don't do that. I'm like, I'm sorry, it was an accident. I just kind of said it without actually meaning it. And I'm like, oh, no, sorry, I didn't mean it. So definitely, I think this program has taught us a lot about when somebody's talking to you, even in like on a personal level, sometimes they just want to sit there and talk and they don't want your opinion or they don't want your advice. And that's truly okay because it kind of depends like what phase they are in their process. I've been that way where I'm like raging about something or I'm really emotionally charged and I'll talk about something. And if somebody tries to give me advice or if somebody tries to tell me I don't know, like give me like a solution, I don't want to hear it. And it's
Right.
nobody's fault. So I think it's good to know that there are times where you actually don't have to offer people solutions at all.
Yeah. And I think that's a common misconception in, people coming to you. It feels like they're coming to you for advice. Like it feels like that should be a natural response in like whether you're relating maybe your own life or your own situation to what they might be presenting to you, or you're trying to give them a solution. It feels like, well, why wouldn't I want to do that? Why wouldn't I want to help this person who's coming to me? But it can actually be super detrimental, not only to like your relationship and that progressing and moving forward, but it can be detrimental to their experience and what they are experiencing.
Right. Absolutely. I still struggle sometimes. I think the natural inclination to like want to help people gets me sometimes, but I'm really, really trying to learn to, when somebody's talking about a situation, not to assess and diagnose it. Because as psych students too, I think it's hard because it's our natural instinct and it's also our learned response and it's what we're asked to do all the time in an academic professional setting. So kind of trying to step back from that, it's not always easy. And you're so right when you say that it can be detrimental to somebody because it might jeopardize your relationship if you speak to them too quickly. Or I mean, everybody's allowed to make mistakes, it's okay, but if we're constantly telling somebody like what to do or how to live their life, it's not going to make them want to be your friend anymore. So I think it's an important distinction to know kind of when to give advice and when to kind of pull back.
Right. And the fact is, this is their experience and their experience alone. And I get that some people feel this innate desire to relate their experience. They think relatability is a good thing. And
Yeah.
I get where they're coming from. But for the most part, when somebody comes to you and they want to, let's say, just like vent it out or chat about it, they don't really want your ins and outs of your experience. They want to come to you as a friend or a support system and to let you know what's going on. And I know that I've been in situations where I've maybe relayed my own experience. And I've also been in situations where I have come to somebody for advice and they've tried to relate their own experience. And I know that we've all been in these situations, but I think fundamentally the most important thing that you can do, because I really don't like it when people relate their experience to mine, and some people might like it. So what I'm saying is I think the best approach is to ask them what they want in that situation before proceeding. And it can be so helpful just to effectively kind of communicate that, because at the end of the day, we all want different things, right? And the reason that I'm coming to someone versus maybe the reason that Amelia is coming to somebody, they might look very, very different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like what you say about relatability, because that was a trap I got caught in a lot too. I'm like, if I like make it, if I tell them like I've been through this too, like maybe that'll help them, because then they'll know that I've been through it as well. But I've really tried to like rein that in too, and to tell people if somebody is relating my experience to theirs, then I'll go along with it, of course. But I've really tried to just pull back from that too and make it about them. When I relate my situations to them, it's a form of empathy, but it's kind of a misunderstood form of empathy, I think. So I think it's really good that you talk about that, because that was a trap I would get caught in too. I'd be like, I've been there too. I totally get it. Like, I'll help you. But they're probably looking at me like, can you not? This is about
Right.
me.
Right, exactly. So yeah, as we mentioned before, asking further questions instead of offering up a direct solution, which I mean, it's something that we do in therapy. And so we know that it is effective, because when people come to therapy, a lot of people do misconstrue that about therapy. They think, I'm coming here, I'm going to get a solution, I'm going to get answers, and then I'm going to be on my way. No, that's not how therapy works. And there's a reason why it doesn't work that way. I'm going to walk alongside you with your problems or your issues or whatever is going on in your life. And there's a reason why that is deemed more effective than giving you a direct solution to something. We're building up your tolerance, and we're building up your skill set and what you want as a person. And we're trying to clarify that and figure that out alongside you, but not for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I wish you could go to therapy and they could just fix
Wow.
wish.
No.
Sometimes I leave my therapy sessions, and I always find value from every session. But it was interesting because I went back to therapy, I think it was like October of 2019. Yeah, that sounds right. So I've been in therapy for like a little over a year at this point, and I have history with my therapist as well. So I've been kind of seeing him off and on for like 4 years. And I think sometimes I would leave and be like, am I being honest enough, or like, am I getting as much as I should be out of this experience? But the interesting thing about it is sometimes like you're going to your sessions and like, maybe in the moment you don't feel different, but I remember waking up one day and it was like everything clicked. So it was like a year of building up. It wasn't an overnight thing, but it felt overnight, because all of a sudden everything that I learned in therapy started to make sense in my brain. That's just a quick, I know it's kind of off topic, but a quick like sidebar about therapy, just to give people kind of this understanding that, yeah, you're not going and getting advice. You're like Carl said, they're walking along you as a therapist. They're helping you through that time, but they're not going to do it for you. They're not going to fix your life. That's on you to fix your life and to choose to use the tools that they're giving you or not.
Yeah. So critical, so important. Another thing that I have found important that almost is like, I want to call it like a trigger word to me at this point, but the word should. Like, you should do this. Oh, you should really do that. And I find that can be really, really helpful if you're giving unsolicited advice to somebody. Then they feel this immense pressure, like, oh, what's wrong with me? Should I be doing that? Is that a thing? Like, so maybe like rephrasing and examining your own language in these situations can be really important. Also throwing it to them, asking them, would you like to hear what I would do in that situation? Would that be helpful to you? So giving them the opportunity to clarify their own boundaries in coming to you about something. And always, like, obviously we always talk about this, but practicing good listening skills, really active listening, nodding, showing that you're like being very attentive. Oh, really? Asking follow-up questions, summarizing, paraphrasing, all of the rephrasing, reframing, all of it. Just really shows that you're you're listening, that you're interested in what they have to say, and it can be really helpful if somebody's coming to you and they feel like they just want to vent, or whatever.
Absolutely. I like that active listening part too. I think um, I can't remember where I heard it, but it was, yeah, somewhere in my brain. I can't remember where I heard it. Maybe it was like a TED talk or like a video or something, but it was just talking about basically how there's an epidemic of really bad listeners, and how there's a lot of people, and that's not even excluding psychologists. Some psychologists won't see you or hear you. So it's not just like people in general, it can be therapists as well, but that's a really important part too, active listening to people and really showing your interest and actually caring about that person and what they're going through. And sometimes we're exhausted or we're tired or whatever it is, but just trying your best to really be engaged in the conversation and hear them out, instead of kind of being checked out and not really caring, or just saying, well, it's easy, here's your solution, just fix it. Just really understanding that person and putting yourself in their position. Yeah, it's important, because sometimes the situation isn't emotionally charged for you, but it's very emotionally charged for them. And
Right.
we have to honor that, right?
Right. And you won't know that until you suggest it or offer it up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Another thing that I wanted to mention too, just really quickly, is yeah, we're checking in with the other person. What do they want? What do they need? But maybe we need to check in with ourselves. Like, why do we feel this immense need to give unsolicited advice? So explore why we're saying these things to this person, to others. Is it to get rid of our own anxiety? Is it to try to be helpful? Like, really evaluate why we're undertaking this process of giving unsolicited advice in the first place.
Right. Yeah, that's important. I think with unsolicited advice too, I think like the reason I would give it maybe is because I wanted to like fix people, not because I didn't think they could do it themselves, or maybe a part of me did, but I just wanted to help them. And it was kind of this misunderstanding of, okay, I'm pushing too much into this, and they are the author of their life and they know their story best, and why should I'm the same with that word.
Yeah.
But why is it important for me to be at the top of the list of the people that they come to? Or why is it important for me to have to fix their lives? It's something inside of us too, so it's really good to check ourselves as well.
Totally. Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Exactly. I have a few points here. Do you mind if I kind of scroll through them?
Yeah, I totally mind. No, I'm kidding.
Really? Perfect. Thanks. Okay, wonderful. So kind of just to preface it too, when we're in a bind in our life, I think sometimes we just want to vent. We don't want to receive input. We're not ready for input. We don't want it. We just want to vent. Sometimes we want to speak about a situation and get advice, and other times we just really don't. Both are completely okay. Sometimes it's about what phase or what state you're in your life. In a very emotionally charged situation, when we first speak about it, sometimes we don't want any input. We just want a safe space to talk about it. It's too painful to get input. It's too painful for somebody to interject their own experience or give us advice, because we're too close to the situation and it's too raw. So that's important. And just kind of to give an example too, I had a situation semi recently with a friend when we were actually allowed to see our friends. So she was talking about a very heavy, emotionally charged situation that she was navigating through, and I was just offering her my support. We had visited the topic many times, and each time we spoke about it, the same kind of conclusion would come up. Um, I refrained from inputting too much because I trusted her process and knew that she would figure it out and do what was best for her. Not giving people advice or trying to offer a solution is a great sign of respect towards the other person. And I personally had to learn to give people space and time to make their own choices. I constantly wanted to fix people or problem solve, and that was both draining on me and the people that I would speak with. No one wants to be fixed all the time. We have to respect people enough to allow them to come to their own conclusions and respect the pace of their process as well. Even if it's very slow, that's okay. This is a lesson that I've had to learn through our program, and certainly with personal experience as well. When people want advice, they're going to let you know. You can even ask them, like Carl's you had mentioned too. Are you wanting input, or you just want to talk about what's going on? I think giving people the safety and the space to do either is very important.
Nice. Brilliant, as always. Thank you for all of those tips. And yeah, navigating how to not give unsolicited advice. Super helpful. And it's something that we all do. And something that we've all been involved with, whether we are the giver or the givee of unsolicited advice. So yeah, thank you for watching this episode on how to maybe better navigate unsolicited advice when people are trying to tell you something that is really important and has affected them. Hope you found a lot of value in this episode. Thank you for always listening slash watching slash however you take in this episode. It's really meaningful to us, and we hope you gained something from today.
Thank you everyone for watching.